Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall and a great start to your weekend. I'm back in with y'all to tap in what's currently going on in the sport of boxing, man. We're going to be speaking about Andy Cruz versus Raymond Muratalla being ordered by the IBF and what we believe is going to happen, as a result of that. We're going to talk about Max Kellerman cooking Gervonta Davis, going as far as to say he was never the champion. Then we're going to get into some open boxing topics. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building thus far. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way in, that'll be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,100 mark. About to hit that 3,200 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. I already see a couple comments in the building. Shout out to Smoochie. Smoochie been on a streak so far, being the first comment of the day. I really appreciate the consistency and the support on Smoochie's behalf. You know what I mean? That's exactly why she a part of the Wrench gang. That's why she one of very few people I fuck with. You know what I mean? So shout out to Smoochie. Shout out to Smoochie. Let me go ahead and put this on subscriber mode. You is not going to be able to talk on this stream if you're not subscribed to the channel. You feel what I mean? It's really that simple. Justin Jackson in the building. He says, salute. I guess YSM was wrong yesterday about Raymond moving to 140. Not exactly, because, the IBF could order a fight, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, one or even both fighters are on board. You know what I mean? Now, let's say, they ordered a fight and then they get into negotiations or whatever the case is and they solidify the fight, then yeah, YSM would technically be wrong in that situation. But just because the IBF orders a fight doesn't necessarily mean that Muratalla agrees with it. Now, it's a matter of, Raymond Muratalla got to ask himself, like, am I really about to fulfill my mandatory with Andy Cruz, or am I going to vacate this title and move up to 140 pounds where, you can make a case that it's a better division, a more action-packed division. You know what I mean? It's still up in the air at this point, but yeah, man, since, Justin Jackson pretty much said it, when we was on live chopping it up yesterday, man, I brought Jamil Parker. Shout out to Jamil. You know what I mean? Really credible boxing source on YouTube came out and said that he's been hearing that Raymond Muratalla is looking to bow out of this fight with Andy Cruz. You know what I mean? Andy Cruz, who's under the tutelage of Bozy Ennis over there with Jerron Ennis and them in Philly. Andy Cruz, I think he only got 3-4 professional fights at this point in time. Very, very decorated amateur boxer, man, gold medalist. You feel what I mean? He's looking to get himself into, the championship ranks. Well, technically, he is in the championship ranks. He's trying to become a world champion. You feel what I mean? And he's currently 6-0 with 3 knockouts. You know what I mean? So this would be a great fucking fight. For him to be, win a world title in 7 professional fights, that'd be very, very impressive, to be honest with you, man. But regardless, I'm going to give Raymond Muratalla the benefit of the doubt. Not saying that I don't trust Jamil, because Jamil actually be on point with a lot of the things that he say. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt before I criticize him. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to keep it real. If Muratalla vacates the belt and goes up to 140, I'm going to definitely look at him a little different. You know what I mean? I'm going to definitely look at him a little different. And I was one of the ones who actually, supported Raymond Muratalla on his come up, bro. I actually liked, watching him fight. You know what I mean? I like that Nakathila win that he had. You know what I mean? He was whooping ass on that, at that, on them top rank cards. You feel what I mean? So I did think that he struggled with Tevin Farmer. A lot of people thought he lost to Tevin Farmer. You know what I mean? But he was able to actually get, he was able to get this, IBF title. And, since then, we've been waiting to see exactly what his move is. But Andy Cruz done been making some moves behind the scenes, man. You know what I mean? Pretty much ranked in every sanctioning body from what I saw. I seen that he was highly ranked in the WBC rankings, and I was thinking like, which route is Andy Cruz gonna go? And I was pretty much thinking, I guess it really is gonna come down to whoever gives him the opportunity first. Is it gonna be the IBF, the WBC? Which belt is gonna give Andy Cruz the platform to fight for their world title? And it looks like the IBF is, the first one to give him an opportunity. So is Andy Cruz going to be on board? Is he going to, stick around and wait for the WBC to give him an opportunity? That's something that's a possibility too. But I think that Andy Cruz would be absolutely foolish to walk away from this IBF situation. You know what I mean? I think like the famous thing nowadays is to avoid the IBF because of the rehydration clause and all that shit. But it would be absolutely foolish if Andy Cruz were to walk away from this situation. Because for one, it's a fucking world title. You know what I mean? And that should be your ultimate goal as a professional boxer, as a highly ranked professional boxer. Your main goal should be to make as much money as possible and become world champion. You know what I mean? That's something that a lot of fighters want to do by the time their career is said and done. They want to have that belt around their waist. They want to be able to defend their title. They want to make a shit ton of money. So when they hang it up, you know what I mean? They built generational wealth for their family. They can fall back and not have to put their family in dangerous positions to make money. You feel what I mean? So, look, man, and another thing besides that, besides it just being a world title, is Raymond Muratalla. No disrespect to Raymond Muratalla whatsoever, but when we looking over the lightweight champions in the division right now, we talking about, shit. Who got the WBO? Ain't the WBO vacant, ain't it? Ain't the WBO vacant? Or I'm tripping. Anyways, we got Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis, Raymond Muratalla. You feel what I mean? Am I missing somebody? The WBO is vacant because of Keyshawn, right? Or did somebody already fight for it? Oh, shit. Yeah, Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes. Yeah, of course. So the belt is technically vacant, yeah. So when you're looking over the three guys who are currently champion in the division right now, Raymond Muratalla is the easiest route. You know what I mean? I mean, he is. Gervonta Davis is not going to give you an opportunity, Andy Cruz. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Shakur Stevenson, that's a very, very difficult fight. Very, very difficult fight. So when you really weighing your options, what's the, which route you really going to go? If you want to get as, in the best position possible to win a world title, you got Shakur Stevenson right here. You got Raymond Muratalla over here. Which one are you going to look at and be like, there's a good possibility I'll win this world title? Now, if you Andy Cruz, you probably think you could beat both guys. But, at the end of the day, these guys, they fighters. So they'll, most likely they'll fight anybody, especially if the money right. But they also have a brain and know, which one's going to be the more difficult fight. You know what I mean? We seen Raymond Muratalla fight. To be honest with you, that Kid Austin fight, man, I gave Kid Austin a chance to win just based off of like the flaws that I see within Raymond Muratalla and how, his defense ain't really that good unless like he's on the move. When he sits in the pocket, he does get hit. And I was thinking because Floyd Schofield is explosive, he got fast hands and he punches in combinations, he could probably hit Raymond Muratalla with a good shot and probably change the whole dynamic of the fight. You know what I'm saying? Andy Cruz, I think, would have a relatively not easy, but I think he would have like I don't want to say easy because that's a bit disrespectful to Muratalla. I think that he would have a lot of moments where he's, taking control of the fight. You know what I mean? Just based off of what I've seen from both guys. I do think that Andy Cruz is the better athlete. I do think he's the more intelligent fighter. Reflexes are better. I just feel like Andy Cruz is the superior fighter to Raymond Muratalla. Like I said, this ain't no disrespect to Raymond. He's talented. He could fight. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people get it misconstrued. When you say that another fighter's like fighter A is better than fighter B, that don't mean that fighter B is trash. That doesn't mean that fighter B, isn't a quality champion. It's just that, there's levels to this shit, right? We all know that cliche. You could be good, but then there's somebody above you who's just better or not good. They're great. You feel me? So when we look at guys like Xander Zayas, right? before Barao showed up, you know what I mean? People were saying that Xander Zayas was the weakest link at 154 pounds. Now, whether we felt that was true or not, that's subjective. That depends on who you're talking to. But to be real, that doesn't mean that Xander Zayas is ass, because he's not. Anybody that would say Xander Zayas is ass is tripping. But when you look at how stacked his division is, when you got Bakram Murtazaliev, you got Sebastian Fundora, Terrence Crawford had the title at the time. It's like these guys are, just more proven at the time. You know what I mean? Very dangerous. And then you got Terrence Crawford, who's an all-time great in his own right. It's like you pretty much in a tough situation. And plus, Xander is a bit green in terms of experience. He is young, things like that. So that's what I'm trying to say, to be honest, bro. Just because I say that somebody's better than Raymond Muratalla doesn't necessarily mean that Muratalla is ass, because he's not. I just think that Andy Cruz is the better fighter. You feel me? So I'm looking forward to seeing how the way this situation unfolds, because I'm pretty sure that Andy Cruz will take the opportunity. I'm sure Bozy Ennis, who is Andy Cruz's trainer, will be very confident in taking that fight, especially after watching some film and stuff like that. Hopefully they don't find a way out of the fight or whatever the case is. I don't want to, even go down that road with Andy Cruz if I were to find that out. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he'll take the fight. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But Raymond Muratalla, if he were to just vacate and move up, that'd be a bit disappointing. I ain't going to lie to you, man. You know what I mean? Barack Amoudi. I'm going to just call you Barack, brother. I don't want to fuck up your last name. You feel me? He says, Raymond has been struggling to make 135. A bad weight cut with Andy Cruz fight is a terrible match for Muratalla. Okay. Well, listen, man. I genuinely feel like this is how I feel. If Raymond Muratalla was really struggling to make 35, I feel like then he should have announced that before he was ordered to fight Andy Cruz by the IBF. You know what I mean? Like, if he was truly, truly struggling, he should have vacated his belt and already got himself together or start working towards a 140-pound division. You know what I mean? You can't just win the title, hold the belt, knowing that you're going to somehow in your mind, you feel like you're going to move up, but you're still holding the belt. Then the moment that they order you to fight somebody, you're like, oh, no, I'm moving up. Like, it just looked bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were genuinely hurting to make weight and it was hindering your performances and you knew that it was only going to get worse, you should have made the choice at a more in a quicker fashion. You know what I'm saying? He should have did that. He should have made that decision a lot quicker. So I'm hearing, Jamil Parker came on here, said that, he's hearing that Muratalla is going to move up and vacate his belt. You know what I mean? If that's what he does, it is what it is. That's not going to affect Andy Cruz in the least, because he'll probably end up fighting somebody else in the sanctioning body for the vacant title. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? But it would be disappointing to see Muratalla walk away from that situation. You feel me? So there's that. Ralph said Cruz going to beat Muratalla if it happens. I agree. Anonymous said, yeah, I do think Muratalla will be better at 135, though some of these weight cuts didn't look great. I think you meant to say at 40. Oh, yeah, that's what you said. You said, yeah, I do think Muratalla will be better at 40, though some of these weight cuts didn't look great. I do recall seeing him on the scale, and I was like, that don't really look too good. He definitely what I thought was he definitely sacrificing. You feel what I mean? He definitely sacrificing. So that could be very much, the situation. That could be what it is. That may be the reality, that he can't really make the weight how he used to. But like I said, if that's the case and you really feel like, the weight cuts are going to eventually hinder your performances, then by all means, vacate and move up. It looked weird. Like, the longer you hold the belt, the more it gives me the impression that you're willing to stay in the division. You know what I mean? That's just what that tells me. If you don't vacate right away or do it in a, in quick fashion, then it's like, I don't know. I don't really know how serious to really take, take you in that situation. I don't know how serious to take you in that situation because it was like, why you wait till now? You should have been done it. If you knew that this whole time you was gonna move up to 40, if you contemplating staying at 35, it can't be that hard to make. That's just my thing. You feel what I mean? Like if you knew you outgrew the weight, then there's nothing to be thought about. There's no belts to be holding on to. You already won the world title in the history books. You a world champion. You vacating, it won't diminish your accomplishment. You know what I mean? But it would be very bad timing to vacate a belt once the IBF orders you to fight somebody because it looks like you ducked them. You could have avoided the ducking rumors if you would have just vacated as soon as you got it. That's just my personal opinion. But shit, speaking of the WBO, since people commented on it, man, I'm looking forward to the Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes fight, bro. I watched a little bit more of Sam Noakes. I'm like, if Abdullah, and I'm sure he locked the fuck in. I'm sure he's locked in that camp. He been real quiet. You know what I mean? Haven't been saying too much. I haven't even been seeing him post all like that. I know they formulating a master plan in that gym, bro. In the lab, I know they coming up with something crazy. Even though you don't really need a crazy game plan, in my opinion, to beat Sam Noakes, bro. I think, to be honest, Sam Noakes could punch. He could be a very uncomfortable style based off of the pressure that he puts out there. But that should be a relatively easy, common sense type of game plan to have, bro. Y'all clearly see that y'all got the longer reach. Y'all clearly see that y'all got the better hand speed. Y'all accurate punchers. Keeping him at the end of your punches and not allowing him to close the gap will leave Sam Noakes at a serious disadvantage. Teacher Sullivan, what up? I will make Sam Noakes fight at range. You said, well, I got a unibrow. I always had a unibrow, brother. Since I was a baby. And my son got one too. You know what I mean? I cut it when I get haircuts, but that shit grow right back on my J. Cole shit. Why your name Cutthroat? Why they call you Cutthroat? Because all that dick you be eating? They watching, bro. Alonzo punked you. Nigga, ain't nobody ever punked me, nigga. You out your fucking mind. You couldn't do it. Why you dick eating another man? Unless you Alonzo. Why you dick eating another man? That's super gay. Man, this dude punked you. All right, was you gonna do it? No. Y'all internet niggas, man. Stay up on my face. I hurt you in real life, bro. Cut it out. Better come to Philly and ask about Marcus Rosa. You better ask them niggas about pivot boxing. Nigga, your mom tonsils a punching bag. Get off my dick, nigga. The fuck is you talking about? Somebody pack this goofy ass nigga. Shout out to Agent 86 for packing that weirdo. Keeping that rent sharp over there. Shout out to my brother. Barack says Sam Noakes' box rec resume isn't impressive at all. Mason could stop him. I'm betting heavy on Mason. As you should, brother, because I ain't going to lie. I'm definitely doing that. I'm betting on Devin Haney heavy. I think he's going to put on a massive display of boxing against Brian Norman. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I'm betting on Abdullah Mason heavy. I think he's going to stop Sam Noakes. By accumulation, I think Sam Noakes going to be able to take punishment for a little bit, but once it hit like 6, 7, 8, Sam Noakes going to be ready to go. I got David Benavidez stopping Anthony Yarde in like the 10th, 11th round, maybe even the 12th, to be honest. I seen David Benavidez training, boy. He punching on those sparring partners, sending niggas home early. They call that nigga El Montro for a reason, cuz he out here bugging the fuck out in camp. That's what's up. Better Beef. I got him stopping Deion Nicholson, bro. What's the other fight? I'm missing one. What I'm missing? Sam Noakes, Abdullah, Better Beef, Deion Nicholson, Benavidez, Yarde. I'm missing another one, y'all. Bring me back. Bring me up to speed. What's the other fight I'm missing? Devin Norman. Bam. Oh, yeah, I got banned for the stoppage, too. You feel me? Shout out to Ben Rodriguez. Chris Eubank? No, they not fighting on that card, right? They fighting on a different card. Not fighting. That'd have been crazy if they added that. Nah, they fighting a week before. Selvin. They fighting a week before Dev and them. What do I think will be the fight of the night on the ring card? I think the fight of the night is gonna be fucking I want to say Benavidez and Anthony Yarde, because this is the reason why I say that. Anthony Yarde is at a crossroads in this fight. You know what I mean? Like, he's at a crossroads at this fight. You know, he done fought for a world title twice. He fought the better bees. He fought the Sergey Kovalevs. Came up short in both situations. So you already know what they saying about, you know, Anthony Yarde. Talented fighter, but he's just not at the elite level, because every time he stepped up to an elite level, he got stopped. He got beat up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Anthony Yarde, I think he understands that if he loses this fight, which is going to be for the WBC light heavyweight championship of the world, right? This is his last opportunity, to be honest. Unless he just somehow, some way gets back on a winning streak and he ends up being a mandatory, I just don't see Anthony Yarde, you know, being able to obtain another title shot. I think that his career is going to go down the drain after that. That's just my personal opinion. If he loses to David Benavidez, I think that his career goes down the drain. I don't think he ever fights for a title again. I think Anthony Yarde knows that, so that's why, you know, he's sharpening up his tools. He's going to give this camp everything he got, because he understands that if he comes up short, this opportunity ain't going to arise again. So, of course, he got that upset. He got that underdog mentality right now. He want to get the upset, because if he beats Benavidez, that opens up his world to a plethora of prestigious options. You feel what I mean? David Benavidez, he been fucked over by the politics of boxing over and over and over again. Niggas ducking him. Sanctioning bodies not putting him in position because they scared of, you know, losing money, a.k.a. Canelo paydays. You feel what I mean? So Benavidez is just looking to prove himself. He's so driven by legacy and wanting to be the best and going down as a legend that every fight that he takes, he's going to give his all to, because every win moving forward is going to put him in position to get those big fights. He told you, he's not really worried about Canelo no more. He's not worried about 168 no more. He worried about chasing Bivol. He worried about chasing Better Beef. You feel what I'm saying? Those are the two top light heavyweights of the world. So he understands that if he beats Anthony Yarde, he gets one step closer to that ultimate opportunity. You feel what I'm saying? So they're both hungry, but for different reasons. One is on the cusp of doing some legacy defining shit. The other one is trying to get back into the top. You know, he's trying to get to the upper echelon of fighters so he could do legacy defining shit. We got a hungry favorite and a hungry underdog, both motivated. You know what I mean? And they both, you know, Anthony Yarde, athletic, explosive, could punch. You know what I'm saying? Benavidez, hand speed, conditioning, grit, accurate body punches. Like, this is going to be a hell of a fight. A hell of a fight. So I said all of that shit to say, I think, George, I think that Benavidez and Anthony Yarde would be the most exciting fight of the night. You know what I mean? So shout out to the boy George for that question. How is Yarde keep getting these title shots anyway? I mean, he winning. And, you know, he's available. A lot of the time, these motherfuckers be getting opportunities because they're available. They're there. They're reliable. You feel what I mean? Like Jorge Cota. Jorge Cota always got these fucking fights against these guys because he was always available. You feel me? He was when Tony Harrison had to pull out with his ankle injury, Jorge Cota was available, and Jamel, was able to put belt the ass on him with the quickness because Jorge Cota was there. Gabe Rosado is constantly getting big opportunity after big opportunity because he's always available. He's there. He's reliable. You feel what I'm saying? And Gabe Rosado about to fight on Danny Garcia's undercard at the Barclays. He fighting what's that dude name? Alexander. What was his name again, y'all? What was his first name? Well, Gabe Rosado is back. After they were saying he was retired. And Ralph is talking, Ralph talking some real shit. I was about to get to it, but he beat me to the punch. He says the fight was supposed to be Benavidez versus Callum Smith, but Callum didn't take the fight. No, he did not take the fight. You know what I'm saying? He didn't take the fight. I remember, Callum Walsh, it was either him or his team that didn't want that fight. So David Benavidez had to settle for the next best option. Benavidez wanted Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol gave up a title just so he could fulfill the trilogy with Better Beef. Whole time, that shit crumbled because they not even fighting this year. We don't even know when they were supposed to be fighting in Russia. They not even rumbling. Better Beef about to fight on the same card as Benavidez when they easily could have been Better Beef versus Benavidez. George says Anthony Yarde's coach was asked if they were to lose, is this the end of Yarde's title run? And he said, no, we can still get to the top. I mean, technically speaking, the trainer's right. I'm going to tell you two things. A trainer is never going to put out publicly, even if they feel it internally, that their fighter is done for. You know what I mean? Like as a coach, you're supposed to believe in your fighter. You're supposed to speak positivity into your fighter. You're never supposed to tell them or give them the impression that you don't believe in them or you know what I mean? Their career is over if they make a mistake or two. You feel what I mean? That's not, trainers don't do that for the most part. You feel what I mean? And, realistically speaking, yeah, they can still get to the top because Anthony Yarde could be in a situation where he lose to Benavidez, then run off 5-6 wins. Then all of a sudden he's somebody mandatory. Like I said, it's possible. But if he's known for losing, if he's 0-3 in title fights, I don't know, man. Like I think they just gonna have him fighting UK level guys or other contenders, or you know what I mean? He might end up being a gatekeeper for like contenders of the division. I don't know. Like that's just me. Sean Ramsher. Shout out to Sean Ramsher in the building. He says, I think Yarde has a good chance of beating Benavidez. I could see what you're saying, Sean, but I think that David Benavidez is aware. I think he's well aware of, especially, with those couple fights he done had in the division, how strong these guys are and how, they have the power to hurt him and shit. You know what I'm saying? These guys are bigger punchers. So it's definitely a situation where Benavidez is going to have to fight a real disciplined fight. You know what I mean? You don't want to get hit by somebody like Anthony Yarde. So I think that with the type of jab that he got, he could definitely, keep Yarde at range. I think Yarde doesn't really do too well, from the outside. You know what I mean? I think that if David Benavidez uses that great jab that he has, an underrated jab in all honesty, and builds combinations off of him, is able to push Anthony Yarde back with his jab, get those combination punches off, even probably touch the body here and there. I think he could really have Yarde in a position where, he starts to second guess himself and then starts to fatigue, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint as well. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I see Anthony Yarde gassing in them championship rounds, and I can see Benavidez, who comes in superb condition, superb shape. I can see him turning it up a notch and drowning Anthony Yarde. I can see that happening. Now where like Anthony Yarde gets put out cold or get put on, like I could genuinely see him getting beat into submission, where the ref or a doctor or even a corner no longer wants to see the fight. I could genuinely see that happening. You feel what I mean? Thoughts on that ring card in December? Don't just say that. You gotta tell me the fights, brother. What's the fights? When I just looked it up, it's saying that Diego Pacheco and Tito Mercado are gonna be on the same card in Cali, December 13th. You talking about Pitbull Roach? Okay. Legacy remains. What up? NUA fighting, all Japanese card. That's fire. I thought Pitbull Roach was PBC though. I thought that was a PBC event. I'm tripping. Ring V. All right, bet. Let me check that out. It's not showing. I'm not seeing it. Let me see. From Dora, that's October. All right. November. Jayo Patai. Oh, okay. Now you want NUA versus Picasso. Yeah, I heard about that. I think Picasso tailor made for NUA based off of what I saw. You know what I mean? Let's see. December 6th. That's my stepfather's birthday. It's either the 6th or the 7th. Shout out to my stepfather, man. Ralph said, I see it playing out. I guess he referring to the Yard and Benavidez fight. So I see it playing out like Benavidez and Plant played out. Yard does somewhat good early, but then Benavidez breaks him down. That's possible, but I don't know. They both got bad conditioning too, Plant and Yard, to be honest. But I think Yard's going to be a bit more dangerous early than Plant will be. You know what I mean? So I think that Benavidez is going to be a bit more cautious, calculated than he would be like in a Plant fight. You know what I mean? Because Plant, he just trying to style on you, bop, get up out the way. You know what I mean? Use some movement, mix some feints in, textbook combinations and, a good jab. Anthony Yard, I feel like he's going to try to impose himself early because if he knows Benavidez, Benavidez is going to try to get right with the shit. So Anthony Yard, mind, he like, yo, I got to let this motherfucker know off top, like off the rip, that he going to have to be careful fucking with a nigga like me. You feel me? Like you gotta get your respect off the gate. Even if you hit him with a shot on the shoulder, the arm, you know what I mean, wherever, the body, you want to let him know. You want him to feel your power right away. So that way, because if he don't respect your power, Benavidez is the type dude that'll run you over. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely gotta get some type of respect that'll make Benavidez think twice. You're able to get him to think twice. That don't necessarily mean you got him or that you're gonna win, but the beating might not be as bad. He might not take as many chances as he traditionally would. You know what I mean? I want to get into this Max Kellerman and Gervonta Davis conversation. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. It's like motherfuckers be, and I know, what's the likelihood that Max Kellerman watches Mazuma TV? There's a lot of motherfuckers that watch on the low. You feel what I mean? But it's like, I told y'all niggas, bro. One of the biggest points I done made about Gervonta Davis was that he never definitively proved himself as a champion in any division that he's been in. Like that's what I've said. And Max Kellerman is pretty much echoing them same sentiments. And this was before Max Kellerman got hired by the Ring to have his little show and shit like that. So it made me wonder. I'm like, bro, we either just seeing eye to eye. I'm not saying that, motherfuckers can't generate the same thoughts and opinions as me, but I'm like, damn, like, bro, that shit sounds just like what the fuck I said. Now, I'm gonna pull up this video for y'all to see. You know what I mean? Because Max Kellerman, bro, it's hard to really dispute what the man is saying. Now, let me go. Let's bring this up. Max. I feel like Max just be like following a script now. I don't think like his opinions be truly his some of the time. But with this right here, I want to know what y'all think. Let me hear what y'all think in the comments, man. Shout out to the 12 people that's in the building. Let's get into what Max Kellerman had to say.
Tank Davis has been called a champion. He's never been the champion of any division. He's never beaten the man in any division. He's had some good wins. In retrospect, the Pitbull win was a nice win. It was a close fight. It was a nice win. Ryan Garcia, that's a big win, right? Like, that's good for him.
Dehydrated Ryan, but good win.
Yeah, right. But he has never fought, that's the champion of that division. I'm going to go fight that guy in any division.
It was
like when people look at Floyd Mayweather, and I have said, hey, once he left lightweight, he picked and chose when he fought guys. He still was the actual champion of at least one division, but even at junior lightweight and lightweight, he cleaned out junior lightweight. He moved up to lightweight. He fought the champion in his first fight at lightweight, won a tough fight. A lot of people thought he lost, but then won the rematch. He was the champion. Tank never did that.
Never did it
even in one. And now he's talking about retiring?
And you're doing it off of coming up against a struggle against Lamont Roach, was what, 9-1 underdog? He gives you that tough of a fight. You have to get the revenge.
Listen, man. Max Kellerman talking that shit, people. Now, I told y'all, like I said, he echoed a similar sentiment to me when I was coming out here. And, people was trying to miss it. People was just trying to, like, play with what he said. He was like, oh, well, Tank beat a champion. No. Bro, I understand how you could misinterpret what he's saying as him saying that he never legit was a champion. That's not what Max Kellerman was saying, though. He was saying exactly what I was saying. He's never definitively proved that he was the champion of a fucking weight division. You know what I mean? Like the guy in the weight class, because he never fought any of the top guys in neither one of those weight classes at 30, 35, or 40. You feel what I mean? And, he also brought up a great point, and I always disagree with this narrative that was pushed out here that Tank just learned from Floyd. Oh, Floyd did the same shit. Bro, man, Tank didn't do a fucking eighth of what Floyd Mayweather did in his career. You know what I mean? Now, can you say that Floyd Mayweather may have possibly brainwashed him into having this, philosophy that belts don't matter and it's just all about the money? Yeah, you could say that, but Floyd always been full of shit. And I told y'all that Floyd was full of shit because he'll tell these fighters that belts collect dust. But every time we seen Floyd, especially when he was at 30 and 35, you know what I mean? He went after the belts. He wanted to be champion. There's never been a weight class that Floyd was in that he didn't try to get a world title, whether it was from 30 to 154. So I always felt that Floyd was full of shit. I think he purposely manipulated these younger guys into, believing that bullshit so these guys wouldn't attempt to surpass him. That's just what I honestly believe. Floyd is that big of a hater. So when I hear people talk about, oh man, he just learned from Floyd, man. Floyd ain't never fight. Floyd always just pick and chose who he fought. Tank, he's like Floyd. Like, bro, nah, bro, stop it. Floyd got real life Hall of Famers on his resume. He got real champions on his resume, bro. Like, do we really have to run down from the bottom to the top? Like, do we got to talk about Gennaro Hernandez beating him when he was champion. Floyd had posters of that man on his wall and had to fight him and stopped him. Went up to 135, fought Hector Luis Castillo. What was that his name? He fought Castillo. First fight, a lot of people thought he lost. Like Max Kellerman said, that he ran that shit back in less than a year and defeated him convincingly. You know what I mean? Then at 140, you know, he wasn't at 140 too long, but you know, while he was there, he was doing his thing in that weight class as well. Got a title there. Went to 47, beat Carlos Baldomir. You know what I mean? And just went on to defeat champion after champion after champion after the fact. Tank ain't never do no shit like that. We gotta, you know, people be talking about, oh, well, this win aged well. This win aged well. When they saying that, they just letting you know that at the time that he won, the win didn't really mean shit. You feel what I mean? So fuck a fight agent, fuck a win agent well. How the fuck was it when he was dealing when he got it? What was it like? You know what I'm saying? If shit has to age well, it's because, you know, prior to it aging, it was shit. Like, come on, bro. I'm gonna actually run this back for the people that just got in the building, man. Max Kellerman out here speaking facts, bro. So all this, you know, just to end this. So for everybody that's saying, oh, Tank just learned from Floyd. No, he didn't. Because if he actually took the time to learn from Floyd, he actually would have tried to definitively prove that he was the best, or at least beat the champion in any of the weight classes that he's been in. He hasn't. Jose Pedraza, was he the man of 130 when Tank fought him? Not really. He was just a champion there. 35, well, he had a WBA regular title, and when Dev moved up, they elevated him to full status. He got the WBA regular off of Rolly Romero, 140 pounds. He had the WBA regular fighting fucking Mario Barrios. Was Mario Barrios the man of the division? No, it was Josh Taylor at that time. Then never looked his way, never looked at Devin Haney way, never looked in Shakur way, never looked in even Keyshawn Davis's way. He didn't even look his way. Teofimo way, Gary Russell's way, Tevin Farmer's way. Never definitively proved that you was best in any division you was in. So Max Kellerman, he's speaking facts. Let's replay this.
Tank Davis has been called a champion. He's never been the champion of any division. He's never beaten the man in any division. He's had some good wins. In retrospect, the Pitbull win was a nice win. It was a close fight. It was a nice win. Ryan Garcia, that's a big win. Right? Like, that's good for him.
Dehydrated, Ryan, but good win.
Yeah, right. But he has never fought, oh, that's the champion of that division. I'm going to go fight that guy.
Hold on.
In any division.
It was
like,
was Ryan Garcia really a good win? Was it really? Because for me personally, for me to gauge something as to whether it was a good win or not is if, like, they were champion or they, you know, they were actually beating notable opposition. Ryan didn't do either of those things. Leading into that fight, Ryan Garcia's best win was what? Luke Campbell? Luke Campbell, who he hit the fucking canvas by? He hit the fucking deck against Luke Campbell, and Luke was never like this big fucking puncher. Like, is that what we doing? That nigga Ryan Garcia was a popular fighter, but he was never a elite fighter. He was never a good fighter. Until this day, this man has still never won a world title. This man hasn't beat anybody notable. And yes, that includes Devin Haney because he tests positive, so we don't count those. We don't give drug cheats credit for wins when they were using drugs at the time of their fight. We don't do that. I wouldn't necessarily call it a solid win because it's like, all right, the dude was undefeated, but he was a result of good matchmaking. He's no different than the motherfuckers that we see, you know, in Philadelphia that's 14-0 with fucking 14 knockouts, but didn't fight a single soul. Ryan Garcia was one of them. He just had a following on social media. Robert, you better chill for Anonymous Pack, you cuz. You better chill, Anonymous Pack, you cuz. Watch how you talking. I'm just saying. Anonymous entitled to his opinion. That's a day one member right there, brother. So you gotta chill. Cause if he pack you, niggas ain't going back to the graveyard to dig you up, nigga. Just saying. What? I mean, but anyways, let's continue on.
When people look at Floyd Mayweather, and I have said, hey, once he left lightweight, he picked and chose when he fought guys. He still was the actual champion of at least one division, but even at junior lightweight and lightweight, he cleaned out junior lightweight. He moved up to lightweight. He fought the champion in his first fight at lightweight, won a tough fight. A lot of people thought he lost, but then won the rematch. He was the champion in two. Tank never did that.
Never did it.
Never did it even in one, and now he's talking about retiring?
And you're doing it off of coming up against a struggle against Lamont Roach, who was what, 9-1 underdog? He gives you that tough of a fight. You have to get the revenge.
That's fucking hilarious, bro. So this nigga Anonymous called him Roberto. That's hilarious. If he called him that on purpose, that's hilarious. This nigga called Robert Jenkins Roberto. But anyways, Max Kellerman speaking facts, dog. And you know what I be noticing? Y'all never take nobody point serious until a pink person say it. Then all of a sudden, it's law. You know what I mean? So maybe this should have run through y'all motherfuckers' head now that a white man said that Tank ain't never definitively proved himself in any division that he's been in. You know what I mean? It's just a tough time to be a Gervonta Davis fan right now. Very, very, very difficult time to be a Gervonta Davis fan. It's like, y'all root for him, y'all root for him, y'all root for him. And all he do is just destroy whatever expectations you got of him. Whatever expectations you got of Gervonta Davis, when you think of him this highly, all he do is just go below that. Then you lower your bar. You lower your bar, he go below that. You know what I mean? Then on top of that, he go out his way to disrespect you when you one of the reasons why he is who he is. Y'all be paying for his fucking pay-per-views. Y'all be showing up to his fights. Y'all be buying his merch. Y'all be defending him on social media. Y'all be helping him, push these bullshit narratives that make him look good just for him to say fuck you at the end of the day. Because you want him to fight somebody of quality? Very, very tough time to be a Gervonta Davis fan, man. But I guess, that's the shit you gotta deal with when you standing on the wrong side of history, man. You know what I mean? Y'all could genuinely learn something, bro. If y'all just be a fan of the sport before y'all be a fan of the individual. As long as you put boxing first, you will always be on the right side of history, in my opinion. Because as a boxing fan, not a Gervonta Davis fan, but as a boxing fan, we need to prioritize the best facing the best. You know what I'm saying? We should be strong advocates for one champion in each division. Unification trumps mandatories. You know what I'm saying? Undisputed fights. You know what I mean? Pound for pound level fighters facing each other in the ring. Like, that's the shit that boxing fans should be pushing for at the end of the day. Not talking about who's not worthy of a fight because they don't do these numbers, or how much this person made in this last fight and how many tickets they selling at this arena. As boxing fans, that should never be a concern of ours, because at the end of the day, pocket watching another nigga ain't never been the masculine move. That's just not what men do. We worried about our own money, and we put money into shit that we genuinely enjoy. You feel what I mean? If you genuinely enjoy the sport of boxing, your only concern should be what you're willing and not willing to pay for as a boxing fan. If you seeing this pay-per-view that that Turkey Al Sheikh's doing, where it's all championship fights, all great fights, and they charge you $25, you know what I mean? You should be willing to pay that. If you're willing to pay that $25, pay the $25. You feel me? But counting another nigga pockets and saying how they not a star because they don't make this much, and y'all worried about the wrong shit, bro. Like, seriously, y'all worried about the wrong shit. And it's giving feminine vibes, bro. Like that shit that baby moms do when they want their niggas to pay child support. You know what I mean? No. That nigga only give me 200. I want 5. I want 5. He be over here. He be working this job. He be making this much an hour. Oh, girl, he got a salary. Girl, he got a salary. That's how y'all niggas be sounding. That's exactly how y'all niggas be sounding. Gervonta, he about to make 100 mil. He about to make 100 mil for Jake. Oh my God. Shakur don't even make half of that. Like, that's exactly how y'all niggas be sounding. Super gay, super weird. Lorenzo, what up? Yeah, they talk about this face of boxing shit, bro. Like, nigga, first of all, the face of boxing, that's an opinion, so you'll never be wrong. You can say whatever name you want, nigga. I could say Campbell Hatton, and if I genuinely, stand on that, then motherfucker, it is what it is. I think Campbell Hatton the face of boxing. It just depends on who you talking to, and a lot of the time people pick the face of boxing based off of who their favorite fighter is, so they be full of shit at the end of the day anyway. People got different criteria for what they consider to be the face of boxing. Now, me personally, I never really gave a fuck about that. But to me, if you're the face of boxing, it's because you're doing legendary shit. Like what Bud just did with Canelo, that's legendary shit. Like when I think about boxing, that's what I call the face of boxing. The motherfucker that I think that first comes to the mind when I think about the sport. You know what I mean? Like Gervonta Davis popular, yeah. He got a solid fan base, yeah. But I don't know if he gets the wins needed to really call himself the face of boxing. When Floyd was the face of boxing, he was beating Cotto, he beat Pacquiao, he beat De La Hoya, he beat Ricky Hatton. You know what I mean? He beat Victor Ortiz, he beat Juan Manuel Marquez, like he beat names, Zab Judah, motherfucking Shane Mosley when he was the number 1 welterweight of the world. Like he beat these guys. So, yeah, you ain't had no choice but to call him the face of boxing because he was stepping on everybody notable that was around him. Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? I don't know, bro. I don't know. The motherfuckers act like Tank going to take them shopping after the fight. Real shit. They be wanting Tank to take them niggas into Victoria's Secret so bad. They want to go in them drawers and find the skinniest thong they could buy. They want something all the way up the crack of their ass. That be them Gervonta Davis fans for you. Half them niggas be at the fights with G-strings on under some motherfucking Levi jeans. Yo, these niggas be kinky, bro. The fact that I seen Tank curse a nigga out, then this nigga went all live and talking about this nigga came on here and said, yeah, you see, he responded to me. Yeah, he responded to me because he respect me. Like, nigga, what? Nigga, what? Y'all sound like battered women. Like, y'all sound like them women that be getting knocked out cold by their baby dads or they abusive husbands or whatever the case is. And then they come back and be like, oh, my, yeah, that's still my man. That's all mine. That's all me. Forever. That'll always be my baby with a big ass, with their eyes shut and shit like that. That'll always be my baby. It's just fucking bottom lip all cut the fuck up. I'm always going to be there for my baby. Did I fight pro? No, I did not. I did my thing in the amateurs. I got diagnosed with a chronic illness called ulcerative colitis. I had to stop boxing as a result of that, just to give you the short, give you the short story, Eddie. So unfortunately, I did not. That was the intentions, but, your intentions and what God want out of you could be two totally different things, brother. So I hope I answered your question. A thong under some Wrangler jeans? Yeah, them niggas need to go. They need to jump off the highest building in their city if they doing that. If you got a thong under some Wrangler jeans, just jump, cuz. Head first, too. Just get it over with. Don't give yourself no chance to survive. Just jump. Let me see. But yeah, motherfuckers ain't really commenting like that. It is what it is. So yeah, man, we're gonna get into some open boxing topics if we pretty much haven't already, man. We're gonna talk about what's currently going on in the boxing world. I do know that boxing is a bit slow right now. I'm gonna say shout out to Jerron Ennis, man. Jerron Ennis did a community event, in the neighborhood I grew up in, man. Beautiful thing. And I was saying when he did that media event out there in South Philly on 20th and Tasker, I was like, bro, he need to do something over in the Badlands, bro. Like he need to show love to his Puerto Rican supporters. And bro, he did. He did. He came up to my neighborhood, bro. Unfortunately, I was working, so I wasn't able to come by. But I seen that he went over to the Lighthouse. I think that's like on what's that? Hancock? I think it's Hancock and Somerset. Mind you, that's only a few blocks away from Pivot Boxing Academy. And he came through. They said the kids was excited. You know what I mean? They did some box. They got a boxing ring now over there. I didn't even know that. That's like the Lighthouse. I used to go over there to play ball, but apparently they got a boxing ring there now, and they keeping kids off of the street, so that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Shout out to Geronis for showing love to the kids, bro. He was there for about an hour and a half, from what I understand, but that's still, the fact that he actually took time out of his busy schedule to do that for the kids. That's a beautiful thing. So shout out to Jerron Anderson. Shout out to his team for showing love. I mean, he's showing love in every part of Philly, for real. You know what I mean? He showed love to South Philly when he was down 20th and Tasker. You know what I mean? He from I believe he's from Germantown. You know what I mean? He always showing love over there with the basketball games he be doing. Northeast, that's where he trained at. I'm sure he showed a lot of love to the people that be in his gym and shit like that. And he just came to North and showed love to the kids over here. So beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me see. Yeah. Boxing definitely slow right now, bro. I know boxing slow right now just because of the viewership. You know what I mean? And as a content creator, bro, that's the most difficult thing. Finding something to talk about when boxing real slow. You feel what I mean? Like Boots fight next week, but like ain't really much going on. You know what I mean? They ain't really being promoted all that crazy. So it's like we just gotta wait for them to rumble to really get to talking about something. What do I think about the Andy Hiroka and Gary Russell fight? I like it. You know what I mean? That's a good fight for Gary Russell. You feel me? From what I understand, Andy Hiroka, I think he the number one guy in the fuck is that belt? The WBA, from what I understand. You feel what I mean? So if that's the case, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. Of course. But I watched Andy Hiroka fight. I can see how he could give, Gary some problems, but I do think Gary comes out successful. You know what I mean? I do think that Hiroka definitely got skills. I like his range. You know what I mean? Look like he definitely got some power as well. So Gary can't be, doing too. You can't be too reckless. You know what I mean? But I do think that Gary Russell's the full package, y'all. You know what I mean? He got a little bit of everything. I seen people comparing him to Sean Porter. I was like, I see the athleticism and the explosiveness. I can see, sometimes wilding out a little bit with the offense. I can see how you can compare him to Sean Porter, but I think he's a bit more intelligent than Sean Porter. You know what I mean? I think he's a bigger puncher than Sean Porter. I think he got better, punch selection than Sean Porter. You know what I mean? That's just me. Let me see. Eddie Alvarez said, your dad's still training fighters. Any prospects? Yeah, we got Oluwafemi Oyeleye. What's his record? What's he like? 14-0, something like that. We got him. Prospect at 154 pounds. I mean, hopefully we could get an opportunity soon. We got John Carlos Rivera. I think his record is like 9-2. But he's been undefeated since being with us. That's the only pros that we working with as of right now. You know what I mean? We've worked with plenty of pros, but, of course, motherfuckers move on. You feel me? But we got a shit ton of amateurs that we building from the ground up, and once they turn pro, our stable gonna be absolutely insane. I cannot wait. You said, how did I score the first Floyd Maidana fight? Bro, I don't remember, bro. That was so long ago. What was that, like 2014? I don't even remember. I would have to go back and watch it to really remember how I scored it. I know Floyd dominated that second one, though. I know the first one was a lot closer. Maidana probably got like 5 rounds, though. I don't know. I gotta go watch it. I can't even answer that. Sean said Gary Russell got this. I agree. I think he could definitely pull it off. But, you know, Hiroka ain't somebody to really sleep on neither. So Gary Russell definitely got to be on point. You know what I mean? You want them unification fights. And this is another thing, like, motherfuckers ain't really calling, you know, Gary Russell name to really unify. You know what I mean? Like, Richardson Hitchens, he be ignoring Gary Antoine at all costs. He don't be wanting no trouble with that motherfucker Gary Antoine. I get it. I mean, I get it. You can't beat him. Like, Hitchens can't beat Gary Russell. Terrible style for Richardson, to be honest. But, you know, Richardson Hitchens don't want to fight. You already know Tio don't want to fight. You know what I mean? He worried about some whole other shit. He about to get cooked by Shakur if he signed that dotted line. Then, you know, Subriel Matias, I'm sure he's willing to fight Gary Antoine, but that motherfucker got a whole lineup in front of him. They talking about he got to fight Dalton Smith. Then after he fight Dalton Smith, you know what I mean, that rematch with Puello is going to be likely. So it's like, I don't know, man. Then, you know, let's say Eastside Cruz beats Lamont Roach or vice versa. Most likely that's going to be motherfucking Subriel next mandatory. So now what? Shout out to my boy Lorenzo, a real father out here. Man, shout out to the real fathers, bro. Shout out to the real fathers out here. I got a page on Instagram that I just started called The Father's Perspective at TheFathersPerspective. The Father's Perspective. I think we only got like 11 followers right now. I'm starting a page from the ground up. If you a real father, man, you need some fatherly advice. You know what I mean? Motivation, tips, all that shit. Follow The Father's Perspective on Instagram, man. Shout out to the real fathers out there, man. Ain't nothing more inspirational than that. That's one of the best compliments you could give me. Great father. I take more pride in that than when somebody tell me I look good. Feel me? Because I already know that, bitch. You ain't got to tell me all that. But if you tell me I'm a great father, it's a beautiful compliment, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. I like that Hiroka and Gary Russell fight. Subriel got to run a gauntlet. He got a lineup, bro, but at least he's staying busy, man. I seen this UK boy on the Boxing Voice talking about how Dalton Smith going to fry Subriel and all this shit. I'm like, oh, here they go. I watched Dalton. Now, Dalton could box. He got some skills, you feel me? You know what I mean? I'm not going to take that away from him, but he ain't never fight nobody like Subriel. Never. Who put that type of pressure on you. You know what I mean? That actually got heavy hands and can punch in combinations and don't get tired. You know what I mean? Like, Subriel got a little bit fatigued against Puello, but that was because Puello was one of very few people that was matching Subriel's output. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Subriel not accustomed to that. He accustomed to drowning niggas because he always seemed to be in better shape than everybody else. Puello was matching. Puello was matching his energy. What impressed me was how Puello was able to punch effectively going backwards, bro. I didn't think he could do that. I'm so accustomed to seeing Puello, you know, planting his feet or even coming forward that I didn't even think that he could box that, punch that comfortably going backwards. Was there a whole car accident here and not even peep? What the fuck? It definitely was a car accident. I ain't hear none of that. Oh, wow. Ain't that something? That was really impressive to me about Puyo, though. Super up pressure is different, bro. And niggas know that. That's why they don't want to fight him. Like Hitchens. Man, I got to bring Hitchens on the channel, bro. You need to provide some clarity, brother. Hope the patients, they out there. It don't look like it was that serious. But they out there, they sitting around, they chilling. It was probably like a little slight fender bender, you know what I mean? Nothing crazy. But I'm like, damn, I ain't hear no noise or nothing. Said Dalton ain't doing shit in that fight. He getting stopped. Damn, Ralph, okay. I was watching him though. Like, I'm like, can he give Subrel some problems? I'm like, I guess in spots. You know what I mean? Like if Subrel, reaches on a punch, Dalton might be able to counter him, and you know what I mean? But or if he, Dalton feet kind of cool too, so like he could probably stay away from the ropes for a certain amount of time. But I don't know, man. When Subrel really turns it up, I don't think Dalton really gonna have an answer for him, and I don't think Dalton got the power to really discourage Matias. Like I seen Subrel get hit upside his head by motherfuckers who could really punch, bro, and he ain't go nowhere. That's the crazy part. So it's like, I don't know what type of power you need to really get Subrel attention or at least spark him. I don't know. But what was that one? Was it Jukenbayev that was hitting Subrel with some shit? I'm like, damn. I'm like, hold up, nigga. Shit. I'm like, hold up, nigga. You about to... What's going on? He was walking through them Jones and he broke Jukenbayev down and stopped him. I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker a problem. Yeah. Was it Jukenbayev? It was somebody else. Might have been Ergashev, for real. Ergashev was hit. Yeah, it was Ergashev. Ergashev was cracking. he was punching the shit out of Subaru. I'm like, oh no. Bro, there was niggas in the group chat on our YouTube group chat that was like, oh shit, Subaru getting fucked up. Yeah, y'all niggas was hyping up Subaru. I'm like, nigga, it ain't over yet. I'm like, it ain't over yet. I said, bro, we still got a long 12 rounds. I said, we still got a long 12 rounds, and Subrel start beating him, punching on him. I'm like, ooh-wee. Ergashev quitting that motherfucker. I was like, damn. Motherfucker ain't been the same since. He said, we don't know if Dalton even punches like that because those stoppages were mostly UK level guys. Facts. That's facts. And them UK level guys, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where they be finding them motherfuckers at. But it's like, damn. Y'all motherfuckers be having cakewalks over there in the UK. Then when y'all get to the US, y'all don't know what to do. Because them UK level guys don't be getting y'all ready for them US fighters at all. Let me see who Dalton Smith fought. We about to take a look at Dalton Smith's resume. Let me find out this shit dookie. Dalton Smith. Dalton Thunder Smith. All right. Number 5 in the world. Number 2 in the UK. So he ranked over Albert Puello? Bro, BoxRec has the worst rankings. Bro, this nigga Dalton Smith is ranked over Gary Antoine Russell. And no disrespect to Tito Mercado, but he's number 10 in the world? All right. Whatever. Yeah. All his fights done been in Europe. All his fights been in Europe, yo. This motherfucker ain't never step out the UK. What he fought? UK. What's this right here? What is this? He fought in Italy, the UK. Then he fought in Austria. Then UK. The rest of it's just been all UK work. That's crazy. Oh, yeah. He going to get a nice little welcoming. Damn. He going to get a nice little welcome into the States, bro. If they do that shit in New York, Dalton better be ready. Dalton better be ready because his career just looks like it's been mad comfortable. I ain't going to lie. His resume look like it's just mad comfortable. You talking about niggas who 6 and 165? Bro, how does that even happen? How does that even happen, bro? 6 and 165. How do you even promote that? Oh, we finding out. Bro, dead ass, bro. How do you even promote that? Let's say Dalton Smith doing an interview, right? Imagine this nigga doing an interview. They be like, yo, you about to fight Abrar Riaz. You know what I mean? What do you know about that guy? Oh, man, you know, he's definitely a sturdy vet. You know, he got over 180 fights or whatever the case is. 170. He got 175 pro fights. Damn, that's a lot of pro fights, man. What's his record? 6 and 165. That nigga don't even remember the last time he got his hand raised, bro. And that's a fact. That motherfucker don't even remember the last time he got his hand raised, bro. That look like niggas record with like hitting the lottery. You might hit a $50 John here, a $10 John here, a $20 John, but you lose more than you win. This nigga look like my parlay record on DraftKings or FanDuel. 6 and 165 is insane. This nigga fought a 13 and 54. That's not as bad, but that's still crazy. Then, yeah, I don't know none of these niggas. You fought a nigga named Sam Maxwell. You fought Jose Cepeda, but it's like, okay, that was last year. That was a washed Jose Cepeda. So Jose Cepeda's run was over after Regis Prograis, to be honest with you. Regis Prograis took all the fight up out of Jose Cepeda. So it is what it is. The best guy you got on your resume is Jose Cepeda. Got you. You fought a nigga named Billy Allington. Billy Allington sound like a motherfucking old school soul singing ass nigga. Billy Allington and the Funky Bunch or some bullshit like that. Eugene Pearson said, who do you think is the owner of the best jab in boxing history? I mean, you gotta speak on Larry Holmes, brother. You gotta speak on Larry Holmes. Shit, but when I'm thinking about like great jabs, bro, That's a long list, brother. But I always get at the Larry Holmes. You feel me? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people you could talk about who got good jabs for real, for real. Yeah, man. My favorite heavyweight of all time. My favorite heavyweight of all time had a great jab. Lennox Lewis. You know what I mean? Muhammad Ali had a sturdy jab. For real, for real. But then we got to talk about, there's different types of jabs. There's different types of jabs. So I mean, we could talk about, just in general jabs, but then, you know what I mean? You got the power jabs. You feel what I mean? Who got the best power jab of all time? Who got the fastest jab of all time? There's different types of jabs. That's what I think about. You know what I mean? Wait, hold up. My fault. Shout out to my boy Rasheed Johnson. Talking back and forth with my brother. And we was just talking. Oh shit, we was just talking about him at the gym. Ike Corte. Ike Corte. Yeah. Larry Holmes. Uh, Larry Holmes, Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis, uh, Ike Corte. Shit. I mean Winky. Shit, I hate giving that motherfucker credit, but Winky had a hell of a jab. Winky had a hell of a jab. He beat my boy Tito with a jab. Easy. Tommy Hearns had a nice jab. Shit, Oscar De La Hoya had a good jab. He was left-handed, so remember when he hit a motherfucker with a jab, they felt that shit. Like Oscar De La Hoya had a good jab. Motherfuckers felt that. Andre Ward had a good jab. I said he beat Carl Froch with a jab. For real, for real. Shit. That jab Bud put on Spence. Jamal Charlo's jab. Triple G had a solid jab. It's a lot of good jabs to study out here, man. For those of my people that's in the boxing and you trying, how to study a good jab. Yeah, Floyd had a good jab. One of my favorite videos from Floyd was him jabbing the heavy bag. That shit sounded like a whip. Whoosh, whoosh. Cotto had a strong ass jab for sure. But I heard Cotto was also left-handed. I don't know if that's true or not. This is one of my favorite videos of Floyd. And this ain't sped up or nothing. That's the crazy part. Look at that shit. That might have been sped up. Let me see. Look at that fucking jab. Look at that fucking jab, bro. Floyd is a fucking beast, bro. We ain't gonna see nobody like Floyd for a long time. We ain't gonna see nobody like Floyd for a long time, bro. Riddick Bowe. Floyd was winning. Oscar was winning the Floyd with the jab, then got tired. Eugene Pearson said Shakur Stevenson looked like Floyd in his last fight. The spitting image, if you ask me, on some Kobe and Michael shit. Eugene, did you ever used to watch them YouTube videos, the identical plays with Kobe and Jordan? That shit was scary, bro. But anyways, yeah, Shakur, you talking about the shell. Yeah, definitely. And even when like Shakur was, countering off of the shit, the roll and shit like that, that was beautiful work. It was definitely beautiful work. Yeah. Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. Shakur is just very, very impressive to me, man. Defensively, because and the reason why I called him a defensive genius after the Cepeda fight is because, bro, I'm trying to tell you, like, I've been in boxing for a while. There's not many people who have multiple dimensions. There's not many fighters who have multiple dimensions in their game defensively. Because, like, bro, like, I will spar, like, let's say I spar a motherfucker, right? And I'm thinking in there, but I'm not only thinking about what I'm doing. I'm looking at what they're doing, right? And I'll be looking and I'll be like, all right, what is this guy's, like, I always ask myself, what's this guy's, like, first line of defense? Is it, his, upper body movement? Does he catch shots well? Does he does he get out of range well? Does he use his feet? Shakur gives you all of that. And it's not like, and he's fucking great at every dimension, every fucking dimension of defense. Each chamber of defense that he has, he's elite with all of them. When he wants to use his feet, elite level lateral movement. That side to side movement, elite from Shakur. That fucking him understanding range. He understands that on a genius-like level. The motherfucker roll shots. He pulls. Like, bro, Shakur literally could do it all. I seen him catch shots, with the high guard. Shakur is a defensive genius. He's a defensive genius, bro. And what makes Shakur even more dangerous is that he's a scary, accurate puncher. So he don't even, with him having that genius level defense, he's also very pinpoint and precise with his punches, where he can make you miss and then not even have to throw that many punches in the round, but still outland you. Because let's say you throw 40 punches in a round, you only land 5. Right? Let's just say that, because Shakur is that sharp defensively. You probably only land like 5 shots out of 40. Right? The motherfucker will probably only throw 20, but he'll land 12. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, my nigga, you threw double the amount of punches as him, but he still outlanded you significantly. So that's what's really difficult about Shakur, is that he has a variety of ways to make you miss, and then he doesn't even have to do the most offensively to outclass you. He doesn't. When you are a sharp, accurate puncher, you don't have to throw as many punches as everybody else, because when you're shooting, you're making them bitches count. And that's who Shakur is. That's a very difficult style to beat. That's a very difficult style to beat. Now, imagine if Shakur was more active with his offense, but still maintain the same accuracy. The nigga might be unbeatable in or around his weight. And he might actually tap into that side if his hands wasn't so fucked up, if we being real. So, and then I don't know what Teofimo be watching. I don't know if he just trolling, but he said that Shakur was better in the amateur days than he was now, because he focuses more on his defense than his offense. Now, T.O.'s an idiot for one, because when you are in the amateurs, you got no choice but to work more offensively. You only fight in 3 rounds, and you don't have as much time as the professionals. So everybody knows this. It's one of the biggest differences between the pros and the amateurs. In the pros, you got more time to work. So you could also, when you got more time to work, you could slow down. You feel what I'm saying? You could slow down. And the amateurs, you don't got time to slow down, because the moment that you slow down, the motherfucker, outwork you and win around. And you don't want to lose 2 out of those 3, because then you lost the whole fight. So, of course, motherfuckers is not going to be as active offensively in the pros than they were in the amateurs. You're comparing 3 rounds, 3 minutes, to 12 rounds, 3 minutes. You're comparing 9 minutes to 36 minutes. Stop it. Stop it. And plus, the amateurs is more about work rate, quantity. The pros is more about quality, because I've seen motherfuckers out-throw guys and still lose on the cards because his opponent may have thrown less punches, but they landed the harder, cleaner, more effective shots. So I don't know what the hell Teofimo be talking about, to be honest. To be honest, I don't even know what he sees within himself that'll be enough to defeat somebody like Shakur. To be real. Especially at 140. The motherfucker ain't cracking at 140. He got speed, he got athleticism, good reflexes. Once he gets into once he catches a rhythm, he gets into like a flow state, and that's really hard to, offset and shit like that. I see that, but I think it's gonna be hard for Teofimo Lopez to get into that flow state, because part of getting into a flow state is being effective offensively. And when you in there with one of the greatest defensive fighters of this era, it's gonna be hard for you to have success offensively, especially when you abandon your jab as frequently as Teofimo Lopez, and solely rely on your athleticism to get your offense off. You're gonna need fundamentals to beat Shakur. You're gonna need to go back to the basics to beat Shakur. That jab is gonna need to be there, because if not, it's gonna be hard for you to find your range against somebody who's a fucking master at knowing how far somebody is from him and how close somebody is to him. It's going to be very difficult, man. Shakur hands are getting better. I mean, I heard he was doing some type of like stem cell therapy. For those of y'all, who know, I recommended that shit to Shakur when I went on Jagar Talk over there with Najee Kunis. But this was before he was cooning. You know what I mean? Or at least before he showed the world he was cooning. I told Shakur, I'm like, bro, you got the money, bro. You got the resources. Trust me. You got the money. You got the resources. It's like, go invest in some stem cell shit, because that's what's really curing these people. Technology's at an all-time high. Is there anything Shakur could do to help his hands? Yeah, stem cells. There's people who are fucking with, and for those of y'all who don't know who stem cells is, y'all just look into it. Big Soldier MX, shout out to the boy Big Soldier. I ain't see you in a while, brother. At least I don't remember seeing you in a while. Says T.O. work rate low, power at 140 not there. He's getting cooked. Well, you seen a bit of his work rate when he fought Steve Claggett, but to be honest, he had to put out that work rate because Steve Claggett was putting that motherfucking pressure on him. And he was getting broken up from them punches Claggett was landing, right? So I get it. He shows that he could do work rate, but it's hard to work against. It could be discouraging to, have work rate against a fighter who, Shakur talked to Floyd about getting his hands right. Floyd ain't never get his hands right though. Floyd was staying at Vegas so he could get cortisone shots on his hands so he wouldn't feel the pain when he was punching. Floyd ain't never take care of his hands. You know, because when Floyd was boxing, you know, technology, you know, in terms of stem cell research and all that, it wasn't as prominent as it is now. So, you know, Floyd may know something nowadays, but you know, at the time that he was boxing, his hands ain't never improved. I seen him do like some you know, exercises with to strengthen his hands. Like I seen him dig his hand in rice, and you know, they had like those like resistant bands on his hands and stuff. Like I seen him do that. But like Floyd always had brittle hands since the very beginning of his career. That's why he had to switch his whole style up. T.O. would frustrate T.O. around 6 or 7. I agree. He might get frustrated before that. If Shakur decides to use his legs early, he's going to be frustrated by the 3rd, 4th round. Because I honestly feel like if Shakur uses his legs against T.O., T.O.'s going to be cooked. Because one thing about T.O., he's horrible at making adjustments. He cannot cut off a ring to save his life. And what was crazy about it is that T.O. has some quick feet. You know, he's athletic. Like he should be able to cut off a ring. How doesn't he know how to do that? What would Rice do to help? Well, what people would usually do when they had like hand injuries and stuff like that, when I came up in the gym, is they'll have like a big, like a bucket of rice. And they'll just go in there and just grab the rice. I guess from the motion of like, you know, grabbing, letting go, it just worked on the muscles that I guess that are in your wrists and, you know, hands and shit like that. And I guess like, you know, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but it always helped people that I knew that had hand problems in the gym. I guess it'll strengthen the wrist and, you know, things of that nature. Because a lot of the time when your wrist and, you know, your forearm gets injured or whatever the case is, it's because, you know what I mean, those certain areas are weak. Yeah, Ralph. And I think the moment that Teofimo main objective should be to not get frustrated in the fight. That's just me. Like if you want to give yourself the best possible way to win, don't get frustrated. Do not get frustrated. The moment you get frustrated, it's over. It's over because T.O. get too far gone. So he gets so frustrated to the point where he not listening to nobody no more. You feel what I mean? Like he just in there doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? And he abandons that jab and he starts loading up on like big hooks or whatever. Shakur gonna see them, and that's the thing. T.O. load up before he shoot the hook. You feel what I mean? So Shakur, with the fucking eyes and reflexes he got, he gonna see that bitch coming from a mile away. That's when he gonna start creating them fucking counter opportunities. He gonna be punching in between T.O. punches. And I'm telling y'all niggas be thinking I be tripping. Y'all be thinking I'm tripping. T.O.'s face breaks up easily. Look at the Steve Claggett fight. Just look at those fights, bro. When he gets hit clean, it don't have to be hard punches. When he gets hit on the nose, when he gets hit on the eye, when he gets hit, you know, below the eyebrow, and he swells up like a fucking balloon, bro. I would not be surprised with the type of sharp puncher that Shakur Stevenson is, where he just is able to catch dudes with clean punches over and over and over again. Bro, he's gonna break T.O. face up. I'm telling you, you don't need to be a big puncher to do that. I've seen niggas' eyes get shut in the gym by guys who wasn't even big punchers. It's all about where you punching. And that's why I always say accurate punchers are just as dangerous as hard punchers. I've seen hard punchers have low knockout ratios because they weren't precise with their punches. They just hitting anybody anywhere. They just hitting people anywhere. T.O. Boots and even Bud had problems with movers, pure boxers. Different is Boots and Bud have good footwork and higher work rate. Yeah, I agree. I think Boots, I'm going to tell y'all something. So the guy that Boots sparred, my guy Deshaun Jones, he's a mover. And Boots made some changes in how the way he cuts off the ring. He does. He did. You know, I watched that first Karen fight. I seen he was following him at times. I seen that. It was a bit different with this sparring session. And my guy moves a lot more frequently than Karen does. You know what I mean? And my guy Deshaun, he can move like that for 12 rounds. Like he can. That's just who he is. He just got them type of feet. He got that type of athleticism. Boots was changing that up. He was working on it. Trust me. Boots be hearing what the people be saying, and the difference is Boots don't sit there and let motherfuckers like yes men around him enable him to believe that he ain't do no wrong and that he ain't got to work on shit. No, he listens and he works on his craft. A real student. A real student. Said Boots and Bud also have nice jabs and strong lead hand. T.O. doesn't. Boots has a fucking world-class jab, bro. I just wish he used it more, bro. I think Boots gets a little, you know, because he has that type of athleticism, that type of speed, you know, type of, you know, reflexes he has. You know, he feel like he don't really need the jab, but, you know, most of the time he don't. To be real, like he's just that talented. But Boots, when he uses his jab, bro, consistently, nasty. Really good jab, bro. He be knowing too. He be like, I could use my jab more. So once Boots really starts to get in tune with his jab or find a way to fall in love with his jab, he gonna be even harder to beat. Dubois, when he has an opponent with a quality jab, shit, Dubois be looking for a way out when he run into a motherfucker with a good jab. Remember Joe Joyce beat him with a jab? I'll never forget that shit, bro. I thought Dubois was going to fry Joe Joyce, bro. I just never liked Joe Joyce's style. He was just so fucking slow and, like, no defense, no head move, like, nothing. I'm like, bro, he's just a straight up and down robot. But, like, Joe Joyce was winning fights. I'm like, yo, how does motherfucker keep winning fights? Now, Zhang fucked all of that up for him. But Dubois was really getting really broken up by Joe Joyce's jab. And that's all Joe Joyce was doing, just jabbing him. Bang, bang. And I guess, like, the accumulation of the jab swelled up his motherfucking orbital bone. And he quit. And ever since then, he broke Dubois. He either broke Dubois or he showed the world who Dubois was all along. You know what I mean? Shit. The jab, that's the best. That's my favorite punch, bro. That's my favorite punch in boxing. If you peep, all of my favorite fighters got good jabs. Boots, good jab. Benavidez, good jab. Bam. Probably got my favorite jab out of the three. Out of the other two. Bam, shoot that shit from right here, but it's so fast, it's hard to time. Like, off. Nasty, bro. Bam is ahead of his time. And Joyce even stopped Parker. Joyce was on a run, bro. But I knew he had it coming. Because I was telling people, I said, bro, he just be walking through people punches because he had a granite chin for a long time. But it's like as soon as Zhang got him. As soon as Zane cracked him, he was never able to take punches the same. His chin just met its fucking threshold. Met his threshold when he ran into Zane, bro. Ever since then, he never took a punch the same. Never. But that always happens to people like that. Like y'all, like Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd would run through people punches on some Terminator shit. Just keep running through. Then he ran to J-Rock, who ironically wasn't a big puncher, but was very sharp with his punches. And Jared Hurd was never the same after that J-Rock fight. Yeah, man. Yeah, Vila got the punch resistance beat out of him by Boots. He was never the same after Boots. Munguia, the verdict is still out on Munguia. We gotta see, because this motherfucker cracked him. But, well, no, you definitely right. Munguia was walking through everybody punches. Shit, even Canelo's. Then he ran into Bruno Sarace's. Wing. Put him right on his fucking pockets, bro. That was crazy. Yeah, bro. Everything got its limits. Your shoulders, your arms, your legs, all that. There's only so much damage your body could take before it can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? It constantly getting hit in the head, bro. Eventually, either your brain gonna start to feel the effects of it, or your punch resistance is one of the two, or maybe both. Paul Williams. Defense definitely matters, soldiers. That's a fact. You gotta have both, dog. Like, and I always told my fighters this. I was like, you need to have both. If you want to be an elite level fighter, like if your intentions is to be an elite level fighter, you need both. One is not more important than the other. You got to treat both the same. If you balancing them, if you got them on a scale, you want them bitches to be lined up, on it like this. You don't want it to be like this. You don't want it to be like this. You want it to be on an even level. Your offense needs to be as sharp as your defense. I say that all the time. You can't avoid one. You know what I mean? Because if you're a great offensive fighter and you're not a great defense, and your defense is trash, your defense is non-existent, then eventually you're gonna run into a motherfucker who's gonna be able to match your offense, and probably either outwork you, beat you up, or you're gonna accumulate a lot of damage. Now, if you are a better defensive fighter than an offensive fighter, it's like, all right, you making them miss, but you're not making them pay. And you're not going to be able to avoid every shot. So if you're in there with a high volume puncher, you might make him miss a lot, but he'll still outland you and win the rounds. That was my biggest criticism of Tevin Farmer. That's always been my biggest criticism of him. Was he sharp defensively in his prime? Yes. Could he make you miss for 12 straight rounds and make you look foolish? Yes. But his offense never matched his defense, and that's why he was never able to get over the hurdle in terms of beating the elite level guys. You feel what I mean? Like, yeah, Tev, you beat Ivan Redcatch and you beat John O'Carroll, and yeah, like you beat those guys, but you know what I mean? You stepped up just slightly with JoJo Diaz, and I told everybody, this was before I was on YouTube, but you know what I mean? That I used to be in the gym talking boxing. I said JoJo Diaz was going to beat Tevin Farmer. And it wasn't because Tevin Farmer was ass or JoJo Diaz was so much better than him. No, JoJo Diaz lets his fucking hands go, especially at that time. And I knew that he was going to overwhelm JoJo. I mean, he was going to overwhelm Tevin with the offense, and he did. Outworked him. And people could blame it on whatever they want. But what I'm telling you is Tevin's lack of offense. Not lack of offense, but in comparison to his defense, he lacks offensively. He's going to come up short against them high-volume guys. Those guys that's not going to mind missing punches, that's who he always going to have trouble with. Because there's people that when they get in there with defensive fighters and they miss a lot, they get discouraged. You know what I mean? So they stop throwing as a result. They start second guessing themselves. Then there's people who don't give a fuck how much they miss. They're still going to stick to their plan. Those type of guys are always going to give Tevin problems. Always. Even if he beats them, they're going to give him problems. You think he's going to catch up to Navarrete? Navarrete be getting hit, boy. Tevin equals Lubin. Well, at least Tevin won a real title. When he started his career like 7-5 and ran that shit up to being a world champion, that's like very, very unlikely. The fact that Tevin did that, that's legendary. For real, for real. Yeah, I was one of the few people who picked Kid Austin to beat Tev. Everybody thought Tev was going to beat Kid. And I was like, no. And it's not because I be hating on Tevin. I just seen Tev come up from the very beginning. I knew what he was good at. I knew what he wasn't so good at. I knew what styles he thrived against. I knew what he didn't thrive against. I seen it with my own eyes. You know what I mean? So I knew Kid was going to beat him. Now, did I think he was going to go out like that? Hell no. I didn't think he was going to go out in the first round. I didn't think he was going to get stopped, period. But, shit. I did pick the right winner, though. I picked the right person to win. Edgar Berlanga defense trash, too. Facts. Super ass. But the problem with Edgar is he's so in love with his power, he feel like other sides of his game don't matter. And that's what happens with a lot of these big punchers. Because they punch so hard, they think that, you know, eventually I'm going to catch up to him. No, nigga, there's going to be people that's going to – what if the nigga gets you before you get him? And sometimes people think because they big punchers that somehow that equates to them having a chin. That's not always the case. Some of the biggest punchers of all time had absolutely no chin. Julian Jackson. He probably the pound for pound biggest puncher of all time. But whenever he got hit on his chin, he went out. T said he liked Berlanga. I mean, that's your right to do so, brother. But he definitely lacking, especially defensively. He lacking. That man stood square in front of Hamza Shiraz, rolling with his hands down. The fuck is you doing, bro? He got hit right on the top of his head. He said offense trash too. Edgar only focuses on power shots. Yeah, I watched that with Berlanga too. Like, he don't really – sometimes I be seeing him, he just be loading up on shit. He don't be setting up nothing. No throwaway punches, no feints. Like, I don't know what that nigga – and Berlanga just be trying – that's what happens when you skip the line. You know what I mean? You knock out all these tomato cans, then next thing you know, you fighting Canelo. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? You ain't fight nobody. You ain't take the proper fights to even be ready for them type of situations. Just a Saki defense, the worst. Norman Sr. knew. Of course he did. It was like, why would we fight Boost for this amount of money when we could probably make the equivalent of that same money doing 3 fights against guys who are way less riskier than Boots? That's exactly what happened. Just Saki was a professional heavy bag. That nigga the first moving heavy bag on God's green earth. Just Saki take pride in taking punches. Just Saki the type nigga to get mad if you miss his chin. Like, damn, you missed. You should have hit me. Like, Jen one of them type niggas. Like, he just collect punches. You know that collection plate they be sending out in church? That'd be Jen with his motherfucking chin. yeah, punch me. If you don't hit him clean, he get pissed off. Why the fuck didn't you hit me? That's who Jen is. Yeah, Anonymous was on the money. He was like, man, Norman gonna do Jen dirty. I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay. I'll start like giving Jen the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, yo, if he able to take Brian punches, he might be in trouble. Shit. That motherfucker ain't remember the last 3 weeks. I was like, damn. That nigga Norman did he no in Philly when somebody get dead north. I mean, they got dead dirty. That motherfucker Jen got dead north. You felt bad when you watched Boots punish Sergey Limpinas? Yeah, bro. Yeah, I ain't really like that shit neither. I ain't gonna lie. Because I fuck with Sergey Limpinas. I actually became a fan of Sergey Limpinas after the Mikey fight. I said, oh, yeah, this nigga a dog. Because that's when he fought prime Mikey, right? When Mikey was just stepping on shit at 35 and 40. Bro, those was good times. I don't know, like, anonymous to y'all, I don't know if y'all was big Mikey Garcia fans, bro. But when he came back off of that motherfucking layoff from that top rank lawsuit and all that, man, Mikey was making noise, bro. I used to be so excited to watch him fight. You know, when he came back and did that little tune-up fight, you know what I mean? That he knocked out Dejan Zlatić and knocked him out cold. Then, you know what I mean? He did that fight with Sergey Limpinas. He dropped Sergey with a nasty hook, but Sergey was game the whole time. The Samurai, Sergey Limpinas, bro. I seen, man, Sergey Limpinas did Lamont Peterson dirty. Like, I remember that. Mikey fought Adrian Broner. Broner was talking so crazy about Mikey. Then he went and took out motherfucking Robert Easter. Robert Easter was talking crazy about Mikey. Man, Mikey had that nigga Robert Easter on Queer Street in one of them rounds, bro. Had him out. Face was all swelled up, looking like a mummy and shit. Mikey even fucking fought big ass Jesse Vargas, punching on Jesse. That was after the fact. Yeah, he did Wama dirty as shit. But that's when Mikey was at 26 and 30 though, his punching power was different. Like, he was really knocking shit out. Even with the I know that fight with Orlando Salido ended kind of crazy with the headbutt and Mikey nose was all sideways and shit. And he was fucking Orlando Salido up, dropping him every time he ran him into some shit. And for that Walmart fight, Mikey was really struggling to make the weight. He couldn't make the weight no more. Look like HBO had this segment called like 2 Days Out or some shit where they show like the sacrifices fighters got to make weight. Mikey did an episode. He was like in the elevator throwing up. Like, he was fucked up. Mikey versus Easter was fire. That was a unification fight, I think, because I think Mikey got the WBC off of Dejan. And I think Robert Easter had the IBF after he beat Comey. I think they fought for the 2 titles. Mikey did some good shit, bro. Mikey was one of my favorites. I liked how fundamentally sound Mikey was. He wasn't flashy. You know what I mean? He wasn't the biggest puncher. He wasn't the fastest, but he was solid. He had solid speed, solid power, solid fundamentals. And him being so well-rounded, he always found a way to win. Until, he ran into Errol. By the time he got to Sandor, he was burnt out. He ain't want to box no more. Ooh. Bud versus Mikey at 35 in 2014. Who would you favor? Damn. Because this is the thing. Like, Bud was good at 35, but I really do think that Bud's prime years was like 47. So, like, Bud was still a problem at 35, but I think that he was more beatable. Out of all the divisions that Bud been in, I think he was most beatable at 35. You know what I'm saying? Like 40, that's when he was just on a different level. 47, that's just when he became a fucking killer. You feel what I mean? And then we seen what he did at 54 and 68. Mikey's best chance of beating Bud would have been at 35, to be real. But I think Bud still would have had too much for him. I think Bud would have still had too much for him. The range, the dog. That would have been a good back and forth, but I think Bud would have edged that one out. Mikey versus Loma. Now that's a fight that I would have loved to have seen. But Bob Arum wasn't gonna give Mikey that opportunity because Mikey was essentially on Bob's shit list. So he ain't really want to break bread. Bob real bitter like that. Like when you leave his company, like I remember he did an interview. He was like, I'll never forgive Miguel Cotto for, leaving us and shit. Like he just be holding grudges. And when he knows that nigga's about to leave him, he do bitter shit. Like he knew Crawford was about to leave him, so he shitted on his whole brand until he left. Shakur, he knew Shakur was about to leave. So he tried to shit on him not being, being boring and all that bullshit. That's just the type of motherfucker he is. Mikey versus current Devin Haney. I ain't gonna lie, Mikey, Mikey would give Devin a lot of problems. Like a lot of problems. Was Bud always with Bomac? Correct. He was. But Bud and Bomac, they all started with the same trainer. His name was like Carl Williams or something like that. They called him CW. But once, Bud, got into boxing and shit, Bomac was training because they kicked Bud out the gym early in his life because he was such a troublemaker. But he ended up finding his way back in. Bomac and his guys was helping him. And then yeah. They wanted Mikey versus Gary Russell. What, at 26? Mikey would have had trouble with Gary's speed. But Mikey might have been. It's a good one. He got good hand speed, good combinations, always in great shape. Just knew how to box. Gary Russell had great IQ. But Mikey would have definitely been the bigger man. He would have had the bigger punching power. And Mikey had the fundamentals too. That would have been a good-ass fight. That's a 50-50 in my opinion. But I think Mikey at 35 versus Devin at 135, to be real, I might lean that shit in. I know that might sound crazy, especially for niggas who don't know Mikey. Probably would edge Mikey in that fight. To be real. Mikey versus Danny Garcia versus Ryan Garcia. The Garcias, right? Mikey's better than both of them, in my opinion. Is Mikey, Danny, then Ryan? Because Mikey and Danny actually did legendary shit. Win titles in multiple weight classes, unified division. Ryan can't relate to that. You know what I mean? Like Ryan, the only nigga. It's like all your peers. Let's say Ryan Garcia, a basketball player. You know what I mean? Like he a popular basketball player, whatever the case is, but Yeah, I mean, he ain't got no rings. All his peers got rings except him. But he want to pop it like, can't nobody guard him. It's like, nigga, stop it. Stop it. You had your moments. You crumbled every time. Stop. Mikey would have beat the dog shit out of Ryan. Ryan, he better have threw that left hook and I hope Mikey ran into it. But even then, Mikey had a good chin. Ryan ain't Tracy McGrady. He nowhere near Tracy. He ain't T-Mac. Fuck no. T-Mac was a problem. I just don't think he was a part of a winning formula in his career. Ryan just a fucking loser. He ain't got no skills. That nigga Ryan like Shane Battier. Trash. All right, Marlon, I'll holler at you, baby. I'm about to get up out of here, too. Damn, we 2 hours in. That's crazy. Yeah. Ryan be calling other niggas overrated. It's like, nigga, shut up. Go get you a world title. Go beat somebody. Get that legit win on your resume. Nigga, you are 0-2-1 in world title fights? Is that right? Yeah, like, stop it. You quit in one fight. You test positive in another. And you just get punched on, and you made Rolly look like motherfucking Guillermo Rigondeaux in that motherfucker. Had that nigga looking like El Checkout. Nigga, you had him looking like the Jackal in that bitch. Man, stop it. If you got Rolly looking like a motherfucking genius in the ring, you just need to go ahead and hang it up, brother. This nigga jabbing the fuck out you to the body. Every time you try to counter, his left hook there waiting for you. Nigga was a step ahead of you the whole time. You played chess with Rolly and lost, nigga. Stop it. This nigga played chess with Rolly and lost, bro. And you want to talk about other niggas is overrated? Oh my God. But bro, that nigga Rolly gonna have Pacquiao eating motherfucking beans out of can when he done with him, bro. That nigga gonna be on a liquid diet for I'm rooting for Rolly. I know it's gonna sound fucked up, but I'm rooting for Rolly, man. We gotta get these old niggas off the block, bro. Ain't no reason why Pacquiao should be confident in fucking with these young niggas right now. But when you got bum ass niggas like Mario Barrios sitting around here, you know what I mean, just adding up to nothing, man, shit. I see why Pacquiao feeling himself. I need Rolly to pack man up. Send that nigga back to what's that? Serengeti, Providence. Go send that nigga back, man. Get him the fuck up out of here. Yeah, bro. That motherfucker Pacquiao coming off of a loss and like a 4-year retirement. And he's skipping the line over all these niggas that we want to see fight. You know what I mean? We trying to see unification fights. This nigga Pacquiao holding shit up. I need Barrios. Not Barrios. We can't rely on him for shit. I need Rolly to really put some mustard on that left hook and put Pacquiao the fuck out. Leave Manny alone. No, nigga, Manny need to leave us alone. Go to fuck, nigga, retire. Go home. Go feed them pigeons or something in your country. Nigga, leave us the fuck alone, man. Go be a senator. Wasn't you Was you just playing ball, nigga? You was just playing ball for the Philippines team, and you know what I mean? You over here singing. This motherfucker was singing karaoke. Nigga he's making music and all. Nigga, go home. Why you here? Get Pacquiao the fuck out of here, man. Shout out to Rolly, bro. I hope Rolly really get that fight and put him out. Send that nigga home packing. But anyways, that's my time for the night, y'all. I appreciate everybody that came through. As always, if y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. You see what I mean? We got some great conversations in today, man. I want to appreciate everybody that came through and show love. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. If y'all appreciate the content as well, please subscribe. We do this on a daily basis. We talk about what's currently going on in the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? Let me see something. So if y'all appreciate it, like I said, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow night to continue cooking up on what's going on in the sport of boxing. Until then, I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.